We live in an era of digital abundance. We generate petabytes of data every single day. We stream high-definition movies while traveling at 60 miles per hour, and we send instant messages across oceans in the blink of an eye. Yet, for the vast majority of us, the how remains a black box. We treat our smartphones like magic wands, but even the most advanced magic has a logic behind it. The fundamental mystery of digital memory lies in its simplicity. Everything we see on a screen, the vibrant colors of a video game, the crisp text of an ebook, the intricate details of a satellite map is built upon a foundation of just two values. Yes, just two. In a world where we have 10 fingers to count with, and an alphabet of 26 letters to write with, computers have decided that 2 is the magic number. It seems impossible that such complexity could arise from such a narrow choice. But as we are about to discover, the power of digital memory doesn't come from the variety of its tools, but from the incredible speed and scale at which it uses them. To understand how a computer thinks and remembers, we have to shed our human bias for complexity. We love nuances, shades of gray, and a wide vocabulary. But electricity is much more literal. It either flows or it doesn't. This brings us to the concept of binary. Forget everything you know about complex mathematics for a moment. Binary isn't a math problem. It's a status report. Imagine a world where every question can only be answered with a yes or a no. Is the light on? Yes or no. Is the door locked? Yes or no. Is the current flowing? Yes or no. In the digital world, we represent yes or on with the number 1, and no or with the number 0. This is the heartbeat of all digital information. Whether it's a high-stakes financial transaction or a like on a social media post, at the lowest level, it is just a series of 1 south and 0 south. But how do we get from a simple yes-no to the latest Hollywood blockbuster? The answer lies in the art of the combination. Let's step away from the computer for a moment and walk into a dark room. In this room, we have 4 light bulbs, each with its own switch. We want to use these bulbs to record a number, but we aren't allowed to use pens or paper. If we use a simple 101 method, we could say that 1 bulb turned on equals the number 1, 2 bulbs equals 2, and so on. But that's incredibly inefficient. With 4 bulbs, we could only count to 4. This is where the genius of the binary system comes in. Instead of just counting the bulbs, we look at the patterns of the bulbs. Imagine the bulbs represent different values, 8, 4, 2, and 1. If only the last bulb is on, we have the number 1. If only the second to last bulb is on, we have the number 2. If both of those are on, we add them together, 2 plus 1, to get the number 3. By using this combination method, our 4 simple bulbs suddenly become much more powerful. We aren't just counting bulbs. We are using the unique state of the entire set to represent a specific piece of information. This is exactly how your computer views the world. It doesn't see a single 1 or 0. It sees a vast organized grid of light and shadow, where every pattern means something distinct. With our 4 light bulbs, we can create 16 unique combinations. We can represent every number from 0, all bulbs off, to 15, all bulbs on. This is the aha moment of digital storage. Think about the implications. As long as we have a way to turn a switch on or off, and as long as we have a way to read those switches later, we have a memory. If I set the bulbs to a specific pattern today, and you walk into the room tomorrow, you can read the number I left for you. The information wasn't written in ink. It was stored in the state of the physical world. This is the bridge between the physical and the digital. Information isn't a ghost. It's a physical configuration. In a computer, we don't use light bulbs, because light bulbs are big, hot, and they break. We needed something microscopic. Before we move into the hardware, it's important to clarify one thing. Computers don't actually know what a 1 or a 0 is. A computer is a machine of physical states. It's a series of high voltages and low voltages. We, as humans, use 1 and 0 as a shorthand to describe those states because it is easier for our brains to process. We call this binary notation. It is a translation layer. When you see a string of binary on a screen, you are seeing a human-friendly map of a physical reality inside a chip. This realization is vital because it reminds us that data storage is a physical act. Storing a file on your phone actually changes the physical environment inside the device. So how do we replace the light bulbs? Enter the capacitor. Imagine a capacitor as a tiny microscopic bucket that can hold an electric charge. If the bucket is full of electrons, it's on a 1. If the bucket is empty, it's off a 0. These capacitors are incredibly small, so small that you could fit millions of them on the head of a pin. The beauty of a capacitor is that it can be filled or emptied almost instantly. This allows the computer to change its memory at the speed of light. However, buckets can leak. Over time, the electrons in a capacitor will drift away. This is why your computer's RAM, random access memory, needs a constant power supply to refresh those buckets thousands of times per second. If the power goes out, the bucket's empty and the memory vanishes. This is the temporary nature of active digital memory. But a bucket isn't enough. You need a way to fill it, and a way to check if it's full without spilling it. This is where the transistor comes in. The transistor is arguably the most important invention of the 20th century. It is a switch with no moving parts. It acts as a gatekeeper. When the transistor is closed, it holds the charge in the capacitor. When it's opened, it allows us to read or change that charge. Together, one capacitor and one transistor form a single unit of memory called a bit. Binary digit equals bit. This bit is the atom of the digital universe. It is the smallest possible piece of information. One bit can only tell you yes or no. But just like atoms come together to form molecules, and molecules form cells, and cells form humans, bits come together to form everything we see online. If one bit is an atom, then 8 bits are a molecule. We call this a byte. Why 8? In the early days of computing, 8 bits were seen as the perfect amount of space to represent a single character of the English alphabet. With 8 bits, 8 light bulbs, you have 2 to the power of 8 combinations, which equals 256 unique patterns. This is where the power of digital memory truly explodes. Every time you add just one more bit, you double the number of possible combinations. 1 bit equals 2 combinations. 2 bits equals 4 combinations. 3 bits equals 8 combinations. 8 bits equals 256 combinations. 10 bits equals over 1,000 combinations. 20 bits 等于 over 100万 combinations. This exponential growth is why your phone can go from storing a few contact names to storing a library of movies just by slightly increasing the number of bits on the chip. Now, let's look at how we use these bytes to store something we understand. Text. If a computer only understands 1 south and O south, how does it know what the letter A is? We had to create a secret code, a Rosetta Stone for the digital age. The most famous one is called ASCII, American Standard Code for Information Interchange. In ASCII, we simply assigned a number to every character. The capital letter A was given the number 65. The number 65, in binary, is 010001. When you press A on your keyboard, a signal is sent to your computer's memory to set a specific byte to that pattern, 010001. When the computer wants to display that letter back to you, it looks at that memory location, sees the pattern, checks the ASCII table, and realizes, oh, that's an A, and draws it on your screen. Every email, every text message, and every word in this script is just a very long line of these 8-bit patterns. When we talk about file sizes, we are literally counting bytes. If a text file is 1,000 bytes, 1 kilobyte, it means there are roughly 1,000 characters stored in that file. However, you might notice that a file containing only the word hello is often larger than 5 bytes. Why? Because of metadata. Computers need to store more than just the characters. They need to store the extra information, like what font you used, what time the file was created, and what its name is. This is like a book having a cover, a table of contents, and an index. The data is the story, but the metadata is the physical book that holds it together. Moving from text to images is where the magic really starts to feel visual. How do you turn a sunset into 1 south and O south? You turn it into a grid. This grid is made of millions of tiny squares called pixels, picture elements. Each pixel is like a single light bulb that can change its color. In a simple black and white image, 1 bit per pixel is enough. 0 for black, 1 for white. But for a color image, we need more information. In a basic 8-bit color system, we assign 1 byte, 8 bits to each pixel. This allows each pixel to choose from 256 different colors. This is why old video games look blocky and have limited color palettes. They were trying to save memory by using fewer bits per pixel. Today we use something called true color, which typically uses 24 bits per pixel. 8 bits for red, 8 bits for green, 8 bits for blue, 256, 256, 256 gives us over 16.7 million possible colors. This is more than the human eye can even distinguish. When you look at a high-definition photo on your phone, you are looking at millions of pixels, each one backed by 24 tiny switches in your memory, all working together to create the illusion of a continuous, realistic image. The memory is just the massive ledger that keeps track of which color belongs in which square. As images and videos get higher in resolution, they require massive amounts of memory. A single uncompressed 4K photo could take up dozens of megabytes. To solve this, computer scientists developed compression. Think of compression like a summary of a book. If I have a picture of a clear blue sky, instead of the computer remembering pixel 1 is blue, pixel 2 is blue, pixel 3 is blue, for a million pixels, it just remembers the next million pixels are all this specific shade of blue. Formats like JPEG use complex math to throw away information that the human eye won't notice. This is why a compressed photo is much smaller than the original. We trade a little bit of perfection for a lot of efficiency. Digital memory isn't just about storing everything. It's about knowing what's important enough to keep. We've talked about capacitors and transistors, but the sheer scale of modern manufacturing is hard to wrap the human mind around. In a modern stick of RAM, random access memory, there are billions of these transistor capacitor pairs. They are carved into silicon at a scale of nanometers. To give you a sense of how small that is, a human hair is about 80,000 to 100,000 nanometers wide. A single transistor today is often less than 10 nanometers wide. We are building structures so small that we are approaching the size of individual atoms. This is why your phone doesn't have to be the size of a building. That's because we have mastered the art of building cities on a grain of sand. While RAM is fast, it's also forgetful. As soon as the power goes out, the capacitors drain and the data is gone. For long-term storage, we use different physical properties. Hard drives, HDD, use magnetism. Think of these as tiny magnetic needles that flip north for 1 and south for 0. Magnetism doesn't disappear when the power is off. Flash memory, SSDs, used in your phone and modern laptops. They use a special type of transistor that can trap an electric charge for years without power. Regardless of the technology, whether it's magnetism, trapped electrons, or light, the logic remains the same. Find two states, call them 0 and 1, and arrange them in patterns. As we look back at the journey from a single yes-no bit to the sprawling digital universe we inhabit, there is a profound lesson to be learned. All of the complexity of our modern world, the AI that can write poetry, the video calls that connect continents, the medical databases that save lives, all of it is built on a foundation of extreme simplicity. Digital memory teaches us that you don't need 1,000 different tools to build something magnificent. You just need 1 or 2 simple ideas applied with incredible consistency and scaled to an unimaginable degree. The digital world is a testament to the power of logic and the human ability to find order in the invisible flow of electricity. If there is one thing to take away from understanding how memory works, it is this: data is physical. We often think of our files as being in the cloud, as if they are floating in some ethereal realm. But every email you keep, every photo you upload, and every video you stream exists as a physical state on a piece of silicon somewhere on Earth. This consumes energy and requires physical space. Digital minimalism. Just as you declutter your home, declutter your digital life. Deleting unnecessary files doesn't just save space. It reduces the physical burden on the infrastructure of our world. Value the source. Knowing that a sunset photo is actually millions of carefully arranged bits makes you appreciate the technology, but it should also make you appreciate the actual sunset even more. The digital version is a beautiful map, but never mistake the map for the territory. Lifelong learning. Don't let technology be a black box. When you understand even a little bit of how the world works, you move from being a mere consumer to being an informed inhabitant of the modern age. If all the digital memory in the world were to vanish tomorrow, and we were left with only what we could remember in our own biological minds, what is the one piece of data you would miss the most? Is it a photo, a song, or a specific piece of knowledge? Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into the invisible library of our machines. If you found this journey through the world of bits and bytes fascinating, please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss a story behind the technology that shapes our lives. I wish you all great health, a sharp memory, and a wonderful day ahead. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next story.